We have a number of speakers that are going to speak in turn today. Chair of the County Legislature, Shelly Stein. Vice Chair, Mary Ann Clattenburg. Head of New York Green, Charlotte Brett. And Mark Massey from the Genesee County Economic Development Center. But to kick this off is our special guest, Keisha Santiago Martinez. She's the Deputy Secretary of State for the Office of Planning, Development, and Community Infrastructure at the Department of State and has overseen the program that funded the announcement today. So I'm going to turn it over to Keisha now.
Great. Thank you, Paul. Thank you. And Paul has been serving as a Smart Growth Director for many years now, so I want to thank him also for his leadership at the Department of State. Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Secretary of State Robert Rodriguez, it is great to be back in Batavia to make this exciting announcement. In so many ways, time and time again, Genesee County and the city of Batavia have stepped up to the plate and excelled in the areas of resiliency, sustainability, downtown revitalization, smart growth, and brownfield redevelopment. We're here today to announce another accomplishment, the completion of the Genesee County Climate Resiliency Plan, which the Department of State funded through the Smart Growth Countywide Resiliency Planning Program, which is funded through the Environmental Protection Fund. This plan presents a comprehensive, holistic approach to addressing and preparing for the many challenges we confront in the face of more frequent and severe storm events. By developing and implementing this plan, you are proactively helping to ensure that the county, its municipalities, residents, and businesses are better prepared to confront and recover from natural disasters. It's our hope that this plan will also help you leverage funding to implement the projects in the plan, like natural features proposed right here in beautiful Centennial Park. You are the first of 5 counties funded under this program to complete your resiliency plan. The first. I do think that deserves a round of applause. The Genesee County Resiliency Plan identifies climate resilient infrastructure, the particular issues and risks faced in Genesee County, best management practices, and potential projects to increase the resiliency of Genesee County communities. There are also several clear and innovative fact sheets included in the plan to help the public understand the various components of community resiliency, which at times can be extremely helpful in communicating this complex subject to community members. The backdrop to this announcement couldn't be more perfect. Your plan has developed a detailed plan for natural enhancements to Centennial Park, such as green infrastructure and urban greenery. This is extremely important to Secretary Rodriguez and the Department of State because we emphasize and prioritize green, natural, and nature-based features and solutions to storm resiliency. We also recognize now more than ever that our parks and other public gathering spaces provided much-needed respite from the stress and social isolation we experienced during COVID. And we'll hear more about Centennial Park from our county legislators today. It's important to acknowledge that this resiliency plan did not happen in a vacuum. You had already laid the foundation for a successful undertaking such as this. With our Downtown Revitalization Initiative, we evaluated application based on a community's readiness. In other words, show us that you've taken the necessary preliminary steps to demonstrate capacity. And you've demonstrated your readiness and capability with both the Downtown Revitalization Initiative and the Resiliency Plan. For example, you previously developed important foundational materials and analysis with a grant from our agency partner, NYSERDA, including the Green Genesee Roadmap, which is a countywide green infrastructure ecological network map that identified forest blocks, wetlands, streams, and riparian buffers, as well as corrective corridors between and among these areas, and several tools and resources to promote sustainable land use in the county. That grant helped guide and inform the climate resiliency plan we have today. And the city of Batavia is also held up as an exemplar within our Brownfield Opportunity Area program. And the city used and leveraged that work with the Downtown Revitalization Award and guided the community's development of a strategic investment plan. In fact, right after this event, I'm really excited to get a tour from the city on the progress made thus far in implementing the downtown revitalization project since Secretary Rodriguez came to visit in July. And Batavia achieved certification from FEMA's Flood Insurance Community Rating System, which means that the city has taken significant resiliency steps to protect its citizens from flooding and help residents get a reduction in their flood insurance rates to boot. The Department of State worked with FEMA and the Environmental Protection Agency to develop and implement a local resiliency assessment tool that helps communities achieve their resiliency goals and potentially achieve FEMA's community rating system certification. Indeed, Genesee County used that tool to complete a resiliency assessment as part of this grant as well. So you all do such an excellent job leveraging effort after effort after effort on behalf of your community members. And finally, it's appropriate that your plan was funded by our Smart Growth Plan and program, because Genesee County and Batavia have been leaders and early adopters in the smart growth movement. Indeed, you were the first to pass a county-wide smart growth plan way back in 2001 that linked land use to water infrastructure. That plan emphasized very presciently a focus on redeveloping municipal centers such as Batavia and preserving open space and farmland. Those two goals are critical to creating resiliency and sustainable communities and regions. You are indeed ideal partners in the Department of State's myriad efforts to create safe, healthy, resilient, sustainable, equitable, and economically prosperous communities and regions throughout the state. And we take our time, and I'm so glad again to be here to congratulate you and celebrate your accomplishments today. But then we get to move on to the all-important task of implementing the plan and realizing its visions, goals, and projects. And the Department of State is so excited to be partnering with you as you move forward in this. I'd now like to thank and introduce Shelly Stein, Chair of the Genesee County Legislature, to share a few words. Thank you so very much.
Thank you to Deputy Secretary Santiago Martinez. We really are thrilled to have you here today. And I want to welcome all of our guests from the Department of State to Genesee County today and to thank them for the support of our efforts in developing the first of its kind resiliency plan in New York State. It's always nice to be first. In just a moment, you'll be hearing from my county legislative colleague, Marianne Clattenburg, but I wanted to personally recognize Marianne for her enthusiastic support of this effort, and in particular, her commitment and dedication to Centennial Park. Thank you. I also want to acknowledge and thank Felipe Altramari, who is the planning director for Genesee County. Felipe and his team have worked extremely hard on this initiative, and we are seeing the results of that today with the unveiling of this plan. The resiliency of our valuable land and our natural resources is a hallmark of Genesee County and our dedication to land use planning, and especially as an agricultural community. For instance, one of the goals Genesee County Smart Growth Plan is to protect farmland and the rural character of our countryside and maintain the viability of our agriculture. By engaging all sectors of land use planning, desired outcomes, and local government partners, including the City of Batavia, it has brought forward a well thought out, environmentally sensitive, and achievable resiliency plan. This plan allows for a foundational land use decision-making tool for Genesee County, and we hope a model for other communities across the state to emulate, particularly rural communities such as ours. Thank you. And with that, it gives me great pleasure to introduce the co-chair of Genesee County Legislature, Marianne Clattenburg. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chairwoman Stein, for your warm introduction. I join Shelly in welcoming all of you to this beautiful park here in the heart of the city of Batavia. The introduction of the Resiliency Plan states that the goal is to preserve and protect this unique urban landscape through thoughtful design and research. This is a goal that is very close to my heart and those of the citizens of this community who enjoy this park in numerous ways. Every day you will see people walking the perimeter of the park. In the winter, children come from neighborhoods across the community with sleds in tow to enjoy the outdoors. In the summer, we have weekly concerts here performed by the City of Batavia Concert Band. The Glow Corporate Cup is hosted here, as well as other numerous 5K events. Other events include yoga in the park, and a lemonade stand fundraiser for our local hospital was held this year. Past events have included Picnic in the Park and the Buffalo Philharmonic Outreach. Last year, the Batavia Improvement District partnered with the Economic Development Workforce Program to bring back the Soapbox Derby, which had existed many years ago. As you can see, Centennial Park is a beautiful resource but it is also the hub of community gatherings. Resiliency plans such as this are tremendously important, as we recognize the need to plan for the future in order to preserve the treasures of the past. Thank you all for your efforts and for inviting me to share my enthusiastic support for this important work. With that, I will welcome Mark Massey to the podium. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for coming out on a brisk spring day here in Western New York. My name is Mark Massey, Senior Vice President of Operations at the Genesee County Economic Development Center. I've been involved in economic development for over 10 years, and two questions that companies always ask: what is the quality of life for our employees if we were to move here, and how are you promoting environmentally sustainable development? Those two questions have taken on a greater significance and importance in today's site selection process as companies emphasize the well-beings of their employees as well as the environment. That is why the GCDC works so closely with the Genesee County Planning Department and other county and local government agencies on green infrastructure plans, site plan layouts, and smart growth principles. The countywide resiliency plan unveiled today looks at preserving public spaces for people to enjoy, while also preserving and protecting our water supply and identifying projects to help with the overall environmental quality of our community. All of these things can create a region where people can live, work, and play. This report will also be used as a tool in our toolkit to help guide and encourage development in an environmentally sustainable way. It was great to see the level of intermunicipal cooperation that this project generated, but the municipalities of Genesee County have always operated this way in the spirit of collaboration. This plan can use to demonstrate to companies interested in investing in Genesee County that we are more than just talking about quality of life, we are improving it. Thank you, and now I'd like to introduce Charlotte Brett, who's Executive Director of New York Green. Charlotte was instrumental in the development of the plan in partnership with Genesee County. Thank you.
No disrespect to the plan. Thank you, Mark. My name is Charlotte Brett. As Mark said, I'm the Executive Director for New York Green. Thank you all for being here on this cold day to recognize this important achievement. So I want to speak for just a minute about a couple of plans that preceded this and set the stage for the resiliency plan. First, the county smart growth plan in 2001. That plan said that environmentally sensitive areas such as streams, floodplains, wetlands should be identified and protected. But it viewed them at that time as individual resources, and there were really no easy tools for municipalities to be able to identify and protect the resources. So that set the stage for phase one of Green Genesee, Smart Genesee, which was completed in 2015. That was funded by NYSERDA. And that plan really recognized that these resources were not individual resources, but they were really part of a connected network that was an ecological system. And that system provides air and water purification, carbon sequestration, climate regulation, flood attenuation, pollination, recreational opportunities, habitat, and all sorts of other vital services that really support our lives, our communities, and our economy. So the phase one created a map of this system, of the wetlands, the streams, the forest blocks, significant habitats, floodplains, buffers, and connecting corridors, and that was called the Green Roadmap. The Green Roadmap fed into the Smart Growth Plan, and it became available for municipalities to use in their own comprehensive plans. Phase one also provided sample local law and policy language that municipalities could adopt, modify, and implement to protect the ecological network. So that led us to where we are today with phase two of Green Genesee, Smart Genesee, which is the climate resiliency plan that was supported with funding from DOS. Thank you. So we were able to advance the work further, and we were able to refine the Green Roadmap based on some boots on the ground field verification. and then to really look closely into the anticipated local effects of a changing climate and identify some projects that could be implemented to strengthen resiliency in the face of these changes. The plan developed some fact sheets, as Keisha mentioned, that clearly explain the local risks and needs, the goals and strategies, and recommended future projects. So one of those recommended projects is here in Centennial Park, and it includes native tree and shrub planting to combat the urban heat island effect and offer the public an oasis with shade on hot days. A green infrastructure plan for stormwater management to reduce runoff to adjacent properties, habitat enhancements for pollinators and other wildlife, and continued beautification of this important park asset. New York Green's goal is to continue working with Genesee County and Genesee area municipalities to implement the recommended projects in this plan, to continue to restore and enhance the ecological network within Genesee County, and to continue advancing this important work. We are currently working with the towns and villages of Elba and Alexander to secure funding for smart growth comprehensive plans to capture all of this work that's been done and apply it locally as they update their plans. I wanted to recognize the leadership and vision of some folks. A friend of mine always says every overnight success is 15 years in the making, and this is no exception. Felipe Ultramari, head of Genesee County Planning, Sheila Hess, who was one of the founding members of New York Green, former executive director and lead consultant on both phases of work. Barb Johnston is here with Labella. She was also a lead consultant on both phases of work. New York Green leadership, Greg Post, Mark Massey, Paul Osborne, Brad Madrinsky, Mike Schultz, and others who are not able to join us here today. Aaron Pence with Genesee County Planning, and Dave Beatty and Leslie Moma, who with Red Green Design, who put together the Centennial Park Resiliency Plan and did a beautiful job. It's been really rewarding to work with all of you, and I'm looking forward to continued efforts to keep Genesee County strong, sustainable, and resilient. Thank you.